Becoming the Man, Chapter 8, Left for Dead. By the time Paul Roberts pulled into his driveway, his confusion turned into fiery anger. He tried to think of every person he knew who could have possibly pulled off a prank so massive. He replayed the scene over and over in his mind, and had it been an act or some kind of prank, it was flawless. They knew more about him than a resume could tell. They made him fill out official papers with a real government seal. He was sure he was having the realest feeling dream he had ever experienced, but at the same time he knew the stress from it would have awakened him had that been the case. He also knew that if all of this were true, there could be dire consequences in refusing the position. He exited his car deep in thought and would have locked the keys inside had he remembered to lock the car door in the first place. He retrieved his keys and was relieved to find the house empty. He laid down to take a nap, hoping to wake up in a new situation. Paul was awakened by the sound of his wife Tricia coming up the steps. His senses were heightened from what he had went through that morning. At this point, the nap revived him, and in a split second he was willing to accept that the morning was just a bizarre experience. His coffee-brown wife said, "Hey honey, it's just me. How'd the interview go?" as she zipped in the room. He wished she hadn't asked, but he quickly replied, "I think it went well. How was your day?" She went into the intricacies of her day, but Paul just tuned her out. All he thought about was the card. The only way to know if the situation was real was to use the card. If he went to an ATM machine and withdrew money from the card, then at least he would know the nature of the cruel game he was twisted up in. But on the other hand, if he was to use the card, they might take that as him accepting the job, or they might even be criminals wanting him to use this card as part of some larger scam. He wanted to destroy the card, but at the same time, he felt like he needed the proper closure. He also thought about calling the police, but he remembered the papers he signed, and that scared him as well. He tuned back into reality and took the opportunity during the only break in his wife's rant about her day to say, "Do you need anything from the store, babe? I'm going to pick up a few things real quick." Tricia replied, "No, I'm good, babe. Just be careful out there." Paul realized he fell asleep with all of his clothes on, minus the suit jacket. He stood up and felt for his wallet where the strange black bank card lay slid in one of the slots. He grabbed his keys off of the dresser, and Paul Roberts was on his way to the closest automatic teller machine. He had to see what this was really about. He drove 3 blocks to find that the ATM at the mom-and-pop convenience store was out of service. For a second, just seeing that out-of-order sign, coupled with a flash of panic over the card itself, made his stomach light and his knees give a little. He turned around and quickly left the store in a manner that spoke all business. He headed about 8 blocks further into the city to a gas station. It was positioned right on a street where a black and Hispanic neighborhood met. An Arabic man who spent his money nowhere near the place owned the store. He remembered stopping there before, even though most people any race that weren't from the neighborhood would have been uneasy. Paul had so many thoughts racing through his mind he completely ignored his surroundings. His sights were set on the ATM machine that was built directly into the brick wall outside of the gas station itself. He left his car running as it sat at pump 7. He hurried across the parking lot as if it were raining outside, and he stepped up to the machine. He slid the card down the card reader, and a strange message appeared on the screen instantly. "Hello, Paul. Thank you for considering the job. The money is yours if you wish to take it. Use the last 4 digits of your social to proceed." Paul gave a nervous laugh. The joke was going way too far, and at this point, a burst of adrenaline overtook his body. He typed in the last 4 digits of his social security number and chose the withdraw option. With his hands shaking, he took a deep breath and typed in 1,000, knowing that the machine only had a maximum withdrawal of 500. 10 crisp $100 bills came out. He backed up from the machine as if he had seen a ghost, and that's when the first kid hit him with a strong right to the jaw. Before Paul could process what happened, he was being beat to a bloody pulp in the parking lot. They kicked him as they hit him with brass knuckles. The youngest one was maybe 12. He saw flashes of white light as he curled into a fetal position. Every time they punched him in the head, he felt like he was drowning underwater. Later, he would find it was his own blood he was choking on as his organs were being battered from the outside. He never saw it coming. He never had a chance. And just like that, it was over. All he could remember saying before he slipped out of consciousness was, "Just take the money. I don't even want it. Just take the money." He woke up 48 hours later in the hospital, confused.